Hey, what's up, man? We made it another week.
Hey, good to see you again on the Process Dead
That's
podcast.
right. We're talking
Oof.
process today. Today we are talking coaching trees. What is a coaching tree, Toby? I'm sure you've
It,
you've thought about this a ton,
yes,
and by a ton, I mean
very, very little. Hey, I will say I'm a relatively new gardener, and so I'm starting with smaller things. I don't know that I've necessarily gotten into coaching trees. I don't know, do they require a lot of sunlight or what part of the nursery should I have
are
found a coaching
are they
tree in?
full sun or partial sun? That's a
That's
good.
it. Clearly I need one.
That's funny. So
Chris, the horticulturist on coaching
that's
trees
funny.
today here on the Process Dead podcast.
That's funny.
Yeah, talk about
Okay,
coaching
so
tree.
a coaching tree is basically
Fool
you
me.
have a legendary coach that has
Ah,
many coaches on their staff, and those
okay.
coaches end up being legendary coaches in their own right. And
Got it.
so,
Okay.
if we were to look at American football, we would have Nick Saban, which if you
Yeah.
look at his coaching tree, basically almost many of the top college coaches have some sort of have been a part of the Alabama program. If you look at
Right.
NFL, basically most NFL coaches basically fall under the Bill Walsh or Marty Schottenheimer tree. Like that's just it's like that simple. Like it basically breaks it down into like these people have figured something out, and it's the people that have apprenticed under them that
Right.
end up finding great success. And I think that there might not be a better um, anti-process debt thing that you can see in the real world versus like this, where you just have someone who goes and does something and they're a master at their craft, right? This is not chopping wood. This is leading people. It's, and it's active strategy. It's all of those things, but they've figured
Yeah.
something out about it that most others haven't.
This is a really interesting idea. And it's true. I think about like Jack Welch at
Yeah.
GE was one of those recognized leaders
Yep.
and developed a cult of personality.
Yeah.
Kind of like the sports coaching that you're referring to, right?
Yep.
You had to make a record, not just 1 year, but repeatedly,
Yeah.
where people started to say you're doing something different.
For sure.
And so, in the business world, we've often looked for that.
Yep.
Warren Buffett, went probably 30 years past the typical retirement point. But in that time, Greg Abel had been running huge swaths of
Oh yeah.
the Berkshire Hathaway enterprise.
Yeah, for sure.
And so there is a lot to be said for understanding who somebody's mentored under
Yep.
and whose habits they've adopted or philosophies
Yeah.
or ways of looking at the world.
Yeah.
So say more about coaching.
I do
I'm
have
wondering how
I
it jumped in your brain.
I do have a bit of a problem with Jack Welch because of GE's meteoric crash.
Yeah.
Jack Welch was brilliant at managing the finances of a business, but if you don't take care of the client, eventually it dies, right? So
Yeah. Well, and it's true, right? Across the boards, people will be really exceptional in one facet.
yeah,
And that comes at a cost.
yeah. 100%. And so the reason why I was thinking about coaching trees is it's kind of this beautiful outcropping of just learning from a mentor and taking it to that next level. And then the other reason why I've been thinking about it, and I'm a little reticent to even say this, but like I wonder if there's corruption trees.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So like I don't know if you've heard of these files that are all the rage, but like the Epstein files. Not that we want to get very political, but I do think that like
Are these like manila folders?
it's lots of them, many manila folders. But I do think that it's interesting that both of these paths, right? Whether it's a coaching tree in which you're basically teaching men to coach men, or women to
Yeah.
coach men, right? Like my guess is if you look into female athletics, you would see the same thing. Like that you would find this same like structure where there's just people that have figured it out, and people will run to those people to figure it out. And I think the same thing kind of happens in the business world, where you don't necessarily you have more of a corruption, or you have that a-hole in accounting, that's just basically this rotten apple that's just bringing all of his buddies in, so.
Like from a process stat lens, the coaching trees on one end where we're looking at win-loss ratios.
Yep.
Or corruption trees where people have such low standards that it gives everybody else permission to be absolute assholes. There's also from a process stat lens, I think it seems that some people naturally design process along the way that's efficient and effective and thoughtful. Other people move in the world in a really sloppy, ad hoc way.
Yeah.
That means everything's treated like a brand new transaction.
Yeah.
This is a super interesting, it's not just process that a coaching tree is passing, right? It's the way that they move and the perspectives they're developing.
I think it's about some of it's about culture. Like, is your culture about holding a standard, or is your culture about not having a standard?
Yeah. Again, the ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. What standard do you hold? What standard do you enable and encourage others to hold themselves to?
Correct. And I think it's interesting. We often simplify process as like, oh, look, it's a potato factory, or, oh, look, it's a scoreboard, right? And
that's right.
We understand that it's more nuanced and complex than that. But it does narrow the focus into, like, in a game, there is a scoreboard, and there are plays or shots or throws that go into execution, whereas business feels so much more fluid and mushy, and yet we don't go and grab the things that are going to be consistent. And so, like, what's going to pretty much always be in business in some shape or form? I don't know, sales.
Yeah, that's right.
What's going to probably always be in business in some shape or form? I don't know, the accounting department.
That's it. I mean, these are the basics. Like a process in the simplest terms that I often think about is there's an input, some activity is performed relative to the input, and then there's an output. Yeah. Right. And if that activity doesn't deliver, then you get waste. You get garbage out. Yep. Right. If the inputs were crap, and this is true in the physical world and the knowledge world alike. Yeah. If the inputs are bad, the best activity is still going to deliver a flawed output. Yeah. And so it really is interesting, the idea of what does your standard bearer look like? Yeah. Because that idea of how we act, most professionals at a certain stage of their career want more autonomy. Yeah. Just let me go do what I do well. Yeah. I've practiced my craft. But this question that you raise is, who did you practice your craft with? Yeah. How did you learn the tricks of your trade, or how did you come to learn how to frame a problem effectively? It's a good question that I don't know we always think about when we're thinking about our next opportunity, or do I shift to another team because it pays me $5,000 more a year? Yeah. Opportunities are not all equal. And we look at it in a very simplified way. We're in the cultural component here.
Well, and I will say that you don't look back in your career and say, you know what, man, I wish I had more time with that asshole.
Yeah. Not
I had lunch with a friend, and I was like, we were talking about, crazy bosses, and how if you just have a crazy boss, like, it doesn't matter how good the company is. And I was like, there's people that kiss up and kick down. And he's like, what? And I was like, well said. And he's like, kiss up and kick down. And he's like, I've never heard that. But he's like, but man, I know that intimately well.
Oh, that's the feeling.
Yeah.
No, it's really interesting. Well, and what does it look like when some of your frontline managers are being challenged to develop a coaching tree? Like we so oftentimes think about our
Sure.
first management role as how do I perform? How do I
Yeah.
show my abilities to be given more
Yeah.
responsibility instead of saying, great, why don't you go spawn 10 incredible contributors and then we'll reconsider you? Like the things we measure don't always drive long-term value, and
Yeah.
we're all the lesser for it.
Well, it's very interesting because most of the business world, from what I've seen, promotes fire starters, right?
Yes.
They're they're
That
they're
100.
they're, they're the internal arsonists inside of
Yeah.
organizations, and it gives them visibility, and they pseudo put the fire out. And the
Yeah.
reality is they started it out of their incompetence.
Yes.
And don't get me started on this. But they started the fire, and then
Yeah.
they come in and they actually say they put out the fire. The fire's not out. It's been tampered down for a little bit because they don't
Yeah.
fix anything. The fire comes
Yeah.
back, and it's basically like we've not solved anything outside of I'm going to come in and take responsibility, and then just basically put pressure so that the visibility doesn't come out. And it's this terrible cycle.
Yeah. Well, and kind of like your corruption tree,
Yeah.
I do think that a lot of organizations are not aware that they're fostering arsonists. This
They-
is a low standard of behavior,
Oh, they have
incredibly costly.
yeah.
You're rewarding it.
Yeah, they have no idea. Like it's really fascinating. Like the best managers are oftentimes the managers that you hear nothing about. Like
That's
they're
interesting.
just quiet. They're just doing their work.
Yeah. Because there's not a season, there's not a series of games, there's no win
No,
loss record.
they're just getting stuff done.
These herds.
Yeah.
That's it. I do think that's in the world of process debt, it's often hard to assess because you're right. All of these heuristics, squeaky wheel gets the grease and all the attention. Those things are true for a reason.
Yeah.
And we don't always understand or are effective at celebrating reliable, consistent, high quality contribution.
Yeah, because the people component, and we talked about waste of time, but like the people component
Yeah.
is hard to measure.
It is.
Right. And so like the reality is like, and the duration that you have to measure it. Like you could get like a rock star manager,
Yeah.
and you may not know that they're a rock star manager until 3 years later. And then you start to see their management tree, their internal business coaching tree, just start like all of a sudden these rock stars just come out of this person's group. And then, like, and I've seen a couple of these in my career where it's like, oh my gosh, they are a leader of men, or they are a leader of women. Like they are just a leader, and they just make more leaders. Like that's just what they do. And it's so fun to watch. And yet so often these people's genius gets lost within an organization because the people component in building and growing people you can't move that in a quarter. You can't move that in 6 months. You can move it in 3 years and you're better off. But if you, and so it's this really interesting, like human component of process debt, right? Because I guarantee you have an a-hole stuck somewhere in your organization, and you are cutting corners somewhere, and the piper is going to have to be paid, and there's more debt there. You just don't see it yet, right? It's like, and it's funny, like, fun fact about me, I went bankrupt. That was fun. And guess what I was doing at the time? I was hiding how bad my finances was for my wife, who's now my ex-wife. That's how that
correlation there.
Yeah.
Is that
Causation?
bad strategy?
Yeah, causation is correlate. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
But you essentially, you can't get away from that when it's just it's shrinking in on you. And so
Yeah.
like in my case, those finances were getting tighter and tighter and I was hiding it, but eventually I had to pay the piper. Right.
Right.
And these, and these people that are having negative coaching trees, i.e. people are spinning out from below them, right?
Right.
People are wanting to move. The employee satisfaction surveys are low, right? Like all the businessy things that we do around these people, it just seemed fascinating to me because it's like, look, everybody knows. Like, it's not like I have, complete sidebar. I have wanted, and I might be able to do this now, to create some sort of LinkedIn, like, is this person a shark or a leader? Right. Like where like Facebook doesn't, or not Facebook, LinkedIn doesn't allow you to say, hey, look, this executive, they may be awesome. They may be terrible. Right. And there's no third party way to evaluate folks.
Yeah.
In that, like, would you start a business with this person? Like just simple questions. Now, the thing is the problem is that you'd gamify it, right? And you would end up with fiefdoms and some people would like them. And so it's very simple for me to say, hey, look, I'd like to do a Chrome extension. And you're like, that's great. But it is interesting because there is the public persona and then there's the real persona. And I guarantee you that if you go to a company and you find a middle manager or an executive where people will die for that person, that is the guy you want. I don't care how well he speaks. I don't care if he misspells stuff in his email. Like that's the guy you want.
It's interesting, Chris, as we're having this conversation, I think of not even half a dozen leaders that I've worked for where I look back and think, they created effective leaders.
Yeah.
There were some good managers.
Yeah.
But going back to the coaching tree, it's one thing to coach and get good performance from a player.
Yeah.
It's different to develop somebody that can carry on your work.
That is correct.
And it makes me feel like I've really missed the ball in my career. That seems like a really good question I should have asked in some of my interviews. If you're going to be my manager, what can I expect? Who have you developed that's gone on to high levels of success? I want to talk with them and understand.
Isn't that interesting?
Faith or correlation.
Yeah.
Because often it's simply correlation. High quality talent under even crap management still performs exceptionally well because that's how that individual's wired.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. Like one of the quotes we have on our website is bad process kills good people. Right.
Yeah.
And the reality is the opposite. A good process brings the most out of people. Like it can turn an average person into a rock star pretty easily.
Yeah. Well, and some organizations are really hyper tuned to do that.
Yeah.
The big four consultancies have a method to onboard people and start to give them guardrails and then force them to apprentice beneath more senior consultants to learn how the work is done.
Yeah, for sure.
Our military institutions have a very structured intake to get people to behave in a way that's consistent with their outcomes.
That's very interesting. So you brought up military, right? So most people, when they think of the military, they think of the Navy SEALs, right? And they think about their how you become a Navy SEAL, where you go to Hell Week or something. I don't even remember what it's called, but that is how you become a SEAL, right? That is how you get initiated into the organization, right? That is your onboarding, right? And it's a formal training. It's a selection process, right? And so everybody's like, "Oh man, the SEALs, it is very difficult to get in, but once you get in, it's different." Meaning sure, these guys are still the best of the best. They basically have gone through stuff that people won't go through. Yeah. And once you're in, it's not like it's just these alpha males. It's more about how do we get better? How do we protect ourselves? Like how do we as a org create safety so that we can learn? because the reality is, the objective oftentimes is go and do something where you could get killed. And so when that's the risk that you're taking, it's a very interesting, it's a challenge. And the reason why I kind of stuck on this is because sometimes we get so enamored with the person that's playing hero ball, right? Or so enamored with the selection process, or so enamored with the degree, where the reality is when the rubber's hitting the road, right? Does your team have your back? Do you have psychological safety? Right. My guess is if you talk to any of these great coaches, they had high standards, psychological safety, right? They expected a lot and they loved a lot.
Yeah. The psychological safety piece comes up a lot with us, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't think of anything as a precondition that's more critical than being able to learn and grow in a place where failure does not doom you.
Yeah.
Right. If you're not given the opportunity to brush yourself off and take your swing at it, then why would you ever do anything that is less than 100% certain? And so, it does. I love this thought of coaching trees. This is a new concept that I'm very excited about. It does make me think differently about the kinds of organizations that we want to invest time in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, great one.
Good talk, man.
Hey, thank you, sir.
Catch you next week.
Talk soon. See ya.